The lights go out. Not just in your house, everywhere. Your phone dies mid-scroll and never turns back on. The hum of civilization, that constant electric pulse you've never consciously heard, flatlines into silence. Within 72 hours, the water stops flowing. The groceries run out. The gas stations are picked clean. And here's the terrifying part. You realize you can't do anything. Not because you're weak or stupid, but because every single skill you need to survive has been outsourced to a device that's now a useless brick in your hand. We've built a world of magnificent conveniences, and in doing so, we've engineered our own helplessness. The question isn't if the grid goes down, it's what you'll do in the first 48 hours when muscle memory reaches for technology that no longer exists. This isn't pessimism. It's physics meeting human behavior. Every smart device in your life represents a cognitive skill you've abandoned. Your smartphone isn't just a tool, it's a prosthetic brain that's made your actual brain lazy. Navigation, memory, basic arithmetic, time management, communication protocols all outsourced. The average person checks their phone over 200 times a day, and each check reinforces a neural pathway of dependence. Scientists call it cognitive offloading, and it's rewiring how we think. Studies show that people who rely heavily on GPS demonstrate measurably reduced activity in the hippocampus, the part of the brain responsible for spatial memory and navigation. We're not just forgetting how to read maps, we're losing the biological capacity to orient ourselves in physical space. When the satellites go dark, you won't just be lost. You'll be neurologically unprepared to find your way. Here's what happens in a real collapse scenario. The food supply chain breaks first because it's absurdly fragile. Most urban centers have about 3 days of food inventory. That's it. The logistics network that delivers your bananas from Guatemala and your cereal from a factory 2 states away depends entirely on just-in-time delivery systems, managed by algorithms and GPS-tracked trucks. No power means no coordination. No coordination means no deliveries. No deliveries means empty shelves. Now add panic buying, and those 3 days compress to about 18 hours. But you won't know this is happening because your news apps don't work, your social media feeds are frozen in time, and your ability to assess the situation is crippled by the same dependency that's kept you scrolling for dopamine hits instead of learning practical skills. So let's get pragmatic. Finding food in an urban environment post-collapse is untenable. Raiding grocery stores, that's where everyone else will be. And that's where you'll get hurt. It's about understanding the hidden biology of cities. Every city is an accidental ecosystem teeming with edible life that nobody notices. Pigeons are everywhere, slow, and surprisingly meaty. They congregate in predictable locations, under bridges, on rooftops, near dumpsters. You don't need a gun. You need a trap, and you can build one from a cardboard box, a stick, and some string in about 4 minutes. Bait it with any food scrap. Prop the box at an angle. Wait, it's primitive, it's unglamorous, and it works because pigeons are not intelligent creatures. Rats are even more abundant, and contrary to urban legend, they're perfectly edible if cooked thoroughly to kill parasites. The technique our grandparents knew but we've forgotten: identify the runs. Rats use the same pathways repeatedly, usually along walls and under debris. Set a simple snare with wire at choke points in these runs. Check them at dawn. This isn't about being comfortable, it's about converting your environment into a resource using knowledge instead of apps. Water is more critical and more complex. The human body can survive 3 weeks without food but only 3 days without water. City water systems fail almost immediately without power because they depend on electric pumps. Bottled water will be looted within hours. Rivers and lakes in urban areas are typically contaminated with industrial runoff, sewage, and chemical pollutants that will destroy your intestines long before dehydration does. But here's what the survival myths won't tell you. Buildings are water reservoirs. Every toilet tank, not the bowl, contains roughly 3 gallons of clean water because it fills from the same supply line as your tap. That's before it enters the bowl. Hot water heaters hold 40 to 80 gallons, accessible through the drainage valve at the bottom. Radiators in older buildings contain water, though you'll need to boil it aggressively because it often has rust and chemical inhibitors. The science here is simple. Water is heavy, so it pools at the lowest accessible points in any structure. Basement, sumps, drainage pipes, even the condensation from air conditioning units can be collected and purified. Purification without fancy filters means boiling for a full 3 minutes at a rolling boil to kill pathogens, then filtering through layers of cloth and sand to remove particulates. It's tedious, it's fuel-intensive, it keeps you alive. Now the psychological component, because this is where most people fail before their bodies do. The human brain is not designed for sudden societal collapse. We're wired for gradual adaptation, for social cohesion, for the assumption that tomorrow will resemble today. When that assumption shatters, the cognitive dissonance is paralyzing. You've seen it in minor emergencies, people standing frozen and building fires, unable to process that the normal rules have changed. Scale that up to civilization-wide breakdown, and you get predictable patterns of psychological collapse. Normalcy bias makes people wait too long to act. believing authorities will restore order. Panic follows, then despair, then dangerous decision-making. The survivors in every major disaster share a common trait. They made the mental shift early. They accepted the new reality before it was socially acceptable to do so. They looked selfish, paranoid, extreme until they were proven correct. Timing is everything. The first 6 hours of a major grid failure are your window of rational action before the masses realize what's happening. This is when you secure water, when you move to a defensible location, when you gather supplies from places others haven't thought of yet. After 12 hours, the crowds form. After 24, violence becomes common. After 48, organized social structures break down completely, and you're in true survival mode where trust becomes a liability. The mental preparation required isn't about being tough or brave. It's about making decisions from logic instead of emotion when every instinct is screaming. It's about understanding that helping others might get you killed, that resources are now zero-sum, that the social contracts you've relied on are void. This is uncomfortable truth, but comfortable lies get you killed. The final warning is this: every convenience you enjoy right now is a skill you're losing. Every app that thinks for you is making you less capable of thinking under pressure. The technology isn't evil, it's just indifferent to your long-term survival. When GPS navigation fails, can you use the sun and stars? When digital banking collapses, do you have tangible value to trade? When communication networks die, do you have a rally point planned with people you trust? These aren't hypothetical questions for conspiracy theorists. They're practical considerations for anyone who understands that complex systems fail, and they usually fail suddenly. The margin between civilization and chaos is about 72 hours of disrupted supply chains. The margin between survivor and victim is the knowledge you build now, the skills you practice when they seem unnecessary, the mental frameworks you construct before the crisis forces you to improvise in reality. Technology has made life easier, safer, more connected until the moment it doesn't. Preparation isn't paranoia. It's the acknowledgement that helplessness is a choice, and you're making it every day you assume the machines will always work.